Alright folks, so shop update time. I haven't done this in a couple days. It's been a little chaotic. I've been trying to get a little caught up. So, hopefully it even caught that beginning of that video because it looked like it glitched. Anyway, just like my Minecraft world, all glitched and fucked. Let's go through. We're going to start over here. We'll just start at this end like we always do. So, Kevin Jones' bike is back together running great. It's actually hot as shit right now because I have been heat cycling it. Yeah, it's 181 still. So I have been running it. So what I did is I fired it up, ran it for 30 seconds, dumped the oil, pulled the filter, cleaned the filter, put it back together with fresh oil, and fired it up and ran it all the way up as hot as I could, shut it off, let it cool coolant temp-wise, but the engine still had a lot of heat. Fired it up, ran it up as hot as I could, did that a couple times. Suddenly the oil was clear, and there was a choo-choo of freaking steam coming out of the breather. All the water is out of that motor, so it is running great. Let's see. Last night, I went to do one more heat cycle on it, and the cam chain come loose. I didn't know what come loose. I just heard a rattle, and I shut it the fuck off, and I left for the day. This bike has been known to have some sort of phantom possession of some sort, hence why it's got the Blessed in 2023 sticker. So, this bike has a particular process that I have to follow every year. So the process is, come spring, build it, because he always wants to make changes, bless it, dyno it, race it. I tried to skip the bless it. Okay, so I got a pastor, the same one from last year, or chaplain I'm trying to get a hold of, so that he can come and bless this bike, and we will dyno this thing. Hopefully tomorrow if he can come. If not, it'll be whatever day he can get here. I will not dyno this bike until he comes. Okay? Because this motor had never lived more than like 10 passes before. It had blown up 13 freaking times until I finally stripped it, built it from the bottom up the way I wanted to build it, and had a pastor bless it, and it flipped off the freaking motor stand that day, smacked on the ground, and cracked a freaking ear off. But since then, it's run freaking amazing, so we're not going to argue it. Jamie's bike. As you can tell, it's a Gen 3 Busa again. He now has his 1938 gearing, little bit gear on the back. I went out and hit it like I thought I could hit it. No, you can't quite hit it that hard. So I went out in Power Mode 3. It has 5 power modes in E85. I hit Power Mode 3 E85, 80 mile an hour in Mexico. I hit the rolling anti-lag, let it build up some boost, popped off, and it did a power wheelie and did not set the tire down until I was over 200 mile an hour. So that thing is nasty. It also cruises 65 mile an hour at 3,000 RPM, which is freaking amazing. But it's really hard to leave a stop sign because you got a lot of gear to work with. It's like trying to leave a stop sign in second. But anyway, Chris Charles, I've been riding around. I got a little bit more riding on gasoline. Then I'm going to switch to E85, ride it, and he can come get that girl and take her home. She's running freaking phenomenal. I have noticed a wisp of smoke here and there from the turbo on startup. We're going to try a little experiment. So an old school way of dealing with that issue, with the drain back oil issue, besides just a check valve, was to do a reservoir under the turbo that was vented to atmosphere so that the scavenger pump could stay ahead of the turbo and leave a chamber of air for it to drain back into. We're going to try that with a empty filter housing and a check valve that allows air in but nothing out. I'm going to try that on that, and I'm going to go ahead and apply it to the silver bike. The silver bike is coming up on the dyno as soon as I can get Motorhead up here to help me with it. We're going to see if we can get this girl to burn some damn C16 the way she needs to burn it. If I can get it burning it the way I want it to burn it, it can go home. It is so gosh dang close to done. Alright, so that's those. Let's go back one. Big Mike Lowry's bike. He brought it in for me to put ram air tubes and a headlight in it. He had someone else put the fairings on. The fairings were duct taped and chewing gummed, and I don't know where I put that little piece of wire. There was a little piece of speaker wire with some bread tie wrapped around it and some duct tape holding a wire together here. That's why his dash didn't work. So I got to get some hardware quick, mount his fuse box up where it belongs, tuck the wiring back where it belongs, and then I got to pull this stay bracket. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on video. You kind of can. Look at the relation of the reservoirs to the stay bracket. The sucker is twisted. Way twisted. So the right side sits down 1/2 inch. The left side sits up 1.5 inches from stock. So nothing fucking fits. There's no way around it, no question, nothing fits. So he's going to have to get a stay bracket. I got to hunt one down. I'm going to start that hunt once I get done with this video. The R1 that's sitting over here is going to be a reject project. Basically, I rolled it up on the lift, started going through. The customer complaint was fuel pump won't prime. I went ahead, checked for ground at the fuel pump. I got ground at the fuel pump. I jumper at the fuel pump. It runs. Fuel pump's good. Went to check for power at the fuel pump. I got 5 to 8 volts fluctuating. And where I'm supposed to see 12 on a lot of inputs, I'm seeing 5. Where I'm supposed to see 5, I'm seeing 12. There is some serious wiring gremlins with that exceed the value of the bike, and I informed him that I'm just not going to accept the project. There's no charge. Come get it, take it home. So I'll go ahead and refund him his 1 hour of diagnostic time, and he can go ahead and take that girl home. The SV wiring harness is ordered on the way, along with the clutch cable. Hopefully I see that tomorrow or Tuesday. Then I can go ahead and rewire that thing. It should run great. It's got a mess. It's a methy mess of wiring. All these red wires ran into the main harness and were just hooked directly to the battery. I started cutting them trying to get it to shut off. So this bike, you would key on, kill switch on, it would fire up start. You turn the key off, it wouldn't shut off. You turn the kill switch off, it wouldn't shut off. You had to actually go back and pull the fuel pump fuse to get it to shut off. I tried cutting those wires to see if it was just dead feed that shouldn't be dead feeding. It still didn't shut off, and then it finally just shut off on its own, and now it won't restart. So I'm just going to re-harness this bike. I bought a good OEM uncut harness. We're going to re-harness it and get rid of all this plethora of hot wiring. And just get it back to stock, the way it should be. Also needs a clutch cable because it's frayed. The boss man's still ready to go home. Just waiting on Amos to get done with his hunting season. Code Red's getting tuned on MR12. The silver bike, Scotty has made some serious progress on that girl. He went ahead and pulled the motor yesterday. He tore it down. We did find a few things. There's some things where it has had an explosion before. However, it's been repaired. And the repairs look good. So we have no about the head. It's good. It'll work. Let's see. The block, there is a epoxy-filled hole. That is because they had hydraulicked this hole and cracked it to the cam chain. So they just sealed it. We will leave that as is. It is far too difficult to attempt to repair properly. The repair they have functions. It will work just fine for this guy. He's got a brand new OEM crank, OEM bearings, brand new Cometic gaskets, and a brand new OEM oil pump chilling over here to go in this motor. He just got done with tear down and cleaning today, so he can go ahead and start assembly tomorrow. However, it sounds like he's going to have Hoopty Ricks bring over Marcus Ham's bike, which is that motor in that crate, and he's going to go ahead and stuff that. That is one of his solo jobs, not a shop-related build. I will not work on Marcus Ham stuff. Something, little touch point if you're still hanging around. If you come in here showing your ass, right, being an asshole, I will cordially ask you to leave. If you choose not to leave and you start going off and really showing your ass, you will be trespassed. Once you're trespassed, you are not welcome here. However, if you go to one of my friends to have the work done and they accept it, I will happily welcome my friends into the shop to do whatever they need done. You physically are not welcome. That won't bill through the shop. I won't make a penny off of that. That is entirely Scotty's job. However, Scotty being a good friend, he gets the courtesy of being able to use the shop. All right, next. Texas bike. The guy next door should be back tomorrow to do my engine stand. Hopefully I have it by Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll get the motor in that engine run stand. See if I can't figure out what's going on with that. Jimmy's bike. So I've got Jimmy's cams for his all-motor bike that Dennis is building. The all-motor bike will come before the turbo. But I have a plan of attack on this at least now. So I've got everything ironed out there. Brian Dale's bike is done. This bike originally put down 205 horsepower, 138 foot-pounds of torque. It now puts down 225 horsepower and 128 foot-pounds of torque. We sacrificed torque to gain horsepower. We also geared to make it more usable. So it is a 43-tooth rear, 16-tooth front. Hopefully it's more manageable. He still needs to put a clutch in this. However, all the rest is done. We got rock lights under the rear. We got functional wired headlight up front. We just need the bodywork to put on and get that done. And the fuse is readily accessible here. If he manages to pinch it, he can just pop it out and pop a new fuse in. Ta-da! Everything's programmed with a map switch, so we have 560 and 510. 560, 510. That changes shift points, time-based ignition retard, nitrous progression, everything. Two-step, all that is changed just by flipping that switch. So if you find you need to drop two-step on the 560 tune, you go to internal output, launch control, or no, you go to, not internal output, launch control. You go to Motorsports, launch control. It's got a 4D graph now. You go to the first dimension of that graph, which is 0. That is your 560 map. The second dimension of it is your 60 map, or 510 map. Man, it's been a day. Warren's bike is done on E85 tuning. We've switched it over to gasoline. Dennis got one ride in, and he had to go home, go pick up his boy from school, and he is taking the weekend with his family as he should. So he's going to come back probably tomorrow or Tuesday and street ride that out on gasoline. Then we will switch back to E85 for delivery. E85 will be the delivery fuel of this bike. We'll put Warren's seat back on it, Warren's hump back on it, everything that come with it, and Warren can come get this thing along with the ZX14. On to Colt's bike. Colt's bike, we got some motor mounts to drill. Me and Motorhead need to drop that motor down, drill the motor mounts to get an appropriate mount. So, anytime you change spacing on the block, that bike is an example. It's got a 95 spacer in it. In order to get the head to piston where we want it to be with the rod piston combination that's in it, along with the frickin' stroke, everything all together, right? So basically it's a tall deck piston plus their Gen 1 wrist pin, so it gained 95 thou. Now the bolt holes don't line up because you've lifted the head up higher. We drilled the upper bolt holes. Typically that'll give us clearance. On a Gen 3 it does not. You need to drill the lowers as well, as if you're doing a 9 or an 11 mil stroker crank. So, not a big deal. We just pop it loose, drill those holes, clean it up, bolt it back in, and then we can go ahead and finish buttoning it up. We got fuel system mock-up, CO2 to move, catch can to move and plumb, and tuning. A lot of tuning. That's going to be a joy. But that bike is moving along finally forward. I think that covers everything in the shop. I've got the ZX6 in storage. The customer chose to order his own regulator rectifier. That's fine. He can come by, plug it in himself. He's also ordering fairings himself. He'll probably have me install those. I will go ahead and do that. But I believe that covers the entire shop. The Power Commander bike is home. Everything should be squared up on that. I'll be meeting him at the track next week. I need to tear down this 10 motor over here. I got sidetracked and started working through bikes to try and get them out of my way because I couldn't walk in here. But that's where we're at. Y'all have a beautiful day.